Okay, now we're starting.
All right, cool. Okay, so like I said a moment ago, right? Usually I find that people, when they hear that I'm going to be doing interviews, I can ask a bunch of questions and they'll be instrumental, but I often find that the most instrumental information is stuff that people kind of wanted to say anyway. So when you heard that I was going to be doing interviews, now it's going to be talking about atheists and stigma, was there anything in particular you were interested in talking about that you thought, oh, this is going to be my opportunity to talk about this?
I was actually more concerned about where you were coming from.
They never do any other research. What they do is...
I've been asked questions by religious people, and it tends to end up going bad.
Huh.
They get offended easily.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you go, well, I'm not really into any religion. They're like, oh, but God, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, go ahead.
I'm now sitting looking up myself.
So knowing that you're a researcher at Davis and also a fellow non-believer, I'm much more comfortable.
Alright, cool. I'm glad that made you feel a little bit better. What happened when religious people asked you questions?
I know one of my mother's favorite channels, when you had the TV on.
Well, I've actually gone to lunch with a few people, the Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses that knock on your door.
Yeah.
And I've got this whiteboard where I can teach them the basics of calculus and physics in 5 minutes or less. And some of them are actually open-minded to it. They're like, oh, wow, thanks, I think I understood. But one guy didn't even want to hear me talk about it. He's like, no, I'm not wasting 5 minutes. I'm like, well, why should I waste 5 minutes of my time with you? I didn't say that, but I gave him that look.
Our hotel was a block away, so I heard that. I knew where it was.
I'm not out to piss off anyone. Frankly, I would like to get along with everybody, even people I don't like. There's a few politics and philosophy type groups on Meetup. And some of them will get in arguments with you for no good reason. Just say, no, you're wrong. Like, can you back that up with anything? Nope, you're just wrong. Okay, I don't have to talk to you anymore then.
Yeah, that's so. Okay. Let me pull out my sheet now.
No, you have to buy tickets. But if you go to dinner there first, then they'll reserve you a seat.
So what do you think are people's common perceptions about atheists in general?
Well, if you believe the preachers on TV, we all want to fornicate in the streets and eat dead fetuses. One of them even said that atheists are trying to take over the world. And I think I said something about it the first time I went to Sunday Assembly. That I heard atheists want to take over the world. I'm like, well, I want to take over the world. Let's see what these guys are about. It's like, oh, what a disappointment, And I related it to a college story. Are you familiar with the Society for Creative Anachronism?
It's interesting.
An anachronism is something old. Well, I'd never seen that word before. When I first read it, I thought it said Society for Creative Anarchism. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. So again, I was disappointed in that one too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, it has. All right. I'm trying to think now. 'Cause we had like such a good flowing conversation. Now I'm feeling that like weird on the spot feeling. Okay. So, has anyone ever confronted you about your non-belief, like directly?
Last Saturday night, they just started
I don't know if confront's the right word. Discuss, maybe.
Alright.
They'll ask me, why don't you believe? I'm like, well, I didn't have a reason to.
So it's a nightclub.
It's not useful to me.
Nightclub starts at 9.
I'm not entirely utilitarian. I like entertainment, things like that. And some of the stories that I've heard from religion are entertaining. They're disappointing, but entertaining. Even the Buddha was kind of an asshole to his wife and kid. When his kid was born, he named it Fetters, which is basically a ball and chain,
Oh yeah.
and he left. He just went on his own. He said, nah, I'm not doing this family life. And that was the Buddha. But at least it shows a human side to him, you know, that he had imperfections. They don't allow Jesus to have imperfections. And I don't know much about Muhammad to say anything about him.
You were saying that you found that religion in general entertaining but disappointing. Are you just referring to those stories specifically, or do you think that like the stories themselves?
Not a very strong.
There's a lot of hope in religion, but a lot of it seems false to me. You know, if you say that he fed everyone with a single loaf of bread and a single fish, well, that's nice to think of. You know, what is it? The ancient alien theorists say that he had a food replicator, but it's all entertainment to me.
Somebody says he had a food replicator? I've never heard that one.
Yeah, well, you give him one loaf of bread and one fish, and he can replicate it. He gets a copy of the DNA, and he can make, you know, replace
DNA
it.
of bread? Of bread?
Sure.
The DNA of bread?
Sure. You know, whatever. You know, it's like Star Trek, their food replicators, or whatever they call them.
Right. Yeah, I remember when I was little, I believed that it was magic replication. Another fellow I met told me that he thought it was just a story about, like, sharing or something, that, like, everyone is sharing. And I also heard someone else get, like, really offended at that. Like, no, definitely it was, like, a miracle, right? Miracle replication. Yeah.
And they say miracle, not magic.
That's right, miracle. It's not magic, it's a miracle. Alright, how'd you get involved in the secular community?
Well, I'd mentioned that I heard lots of weird things about atheists.
Oh yeah,
I started to get involved with other politics and philosophy type groups. And religion kept getting brought up, and I don't tell anyone I'm atheist or agnostic. I tell them I'm apathetic. I just don't care. There's the truth, there's what you believe what the truth is, and then there's your behavior based on your beliefs. And the behavior is all I really care about. If you believe that, you know, God is a monkey with 5 asses, you know, that has no effect on me. But if you think that means that you have to fart on me all day, then no, that's not a good idea. So that's my hierarchy. The truth almost never matters what it is, because everyone believes it's one thing or another. So the belief is most important to most people, but to me, behavior is the most important.
That's interesting. I've definitely gotten a variety of different perspectives on that from atheists. Like, to what degree is the truth,
Yeah.
with a capital T, important, you know? Alright, fair. Let's see. So we already asked this one, but if you have anything else to say on it, you can. When you tell people you're a non-believer, how do they usually respond to you?
I give her go, and I just let her go and do that. Well, when I say go,
I don't tell too many people that.
he doesn't ever come back and check in.
I'm trying to think of the last time I told someone that. I mean, aside from you.
Yeah.
We're going across.
Plus, I cheated. I was at an event.
Go to the rainforest and all that.
One of the friends that I had on camera, she is religious, or was. She may have passed. I haven't heard from her in a long time. She was mildly concerned that maybe for my soul, or that I wasn't going to go to heaven, or I don't know what the deal was. I just told her, well, if heaven exists for you, and you want me there, you can create an image of me and interact with me as if it were me. How would you know the difference? It's heaven to you. If it's perfect and you want me there, I'll be there. Doesn't mean it'll actually be me. And I don't know whether that helped her or upset her or went either way. But that's what I tell people. It's like it doesn't matter whether I go to heaven or not. If you go there and you want me there, you'll see me there.
goes off in her own little world more and forgets to go, okay,
So okay, so more like a focus on just like making sure that they're okay, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing it to punch them in the face or anything. The ones that knock on my door, I remind them of Deuteronomy 23:2, and they usually don't know what that is. And one gal, I made her look it up. Instead of saying the word bastard, she inserted illegitimate, or illegitimate child or something. But she didn't want to say a bad word, even though it's out of her holy book.
Well, that's funny. Interesting. This was the one you told me about before, right? Where they're not allowed to get into heaven for 10 generations if you're...
They're not allowed in the congregation.
Oh, okay.
We're not allowed in the church. We're not allowed in the community. Because they don't want us mating with believers because we have that non-believer gene or something.
Huh.
That's my theory.
Oh, interesting. All right, cool.
There was a science fiction book, Larry Niven wrote it, and in the future on Earth they're controlling the population by lottery. So if you win the lottery, you can have a baby. Well, after 5 or 6 generations of one baby being born under the lottery and another, all born under the lottery, the aliens that had concocted this plan figured that they were breeding luck into humanity by the people who got 5th generation lucky, 1 in a billion chance or whatever it was. That person had to be really lucky, so we want them on our campaign.
Huh.
It's kind of weird, but it makes me think about how the religions don't want bastard children. They don't want them breeding.
So, like, do you think it's literally like a genetic thing then, that it's like we don't want...
Eugenics is what you're talking about?
Well, I don't know.
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
And the intelligent design. They're not going to take care of you if they don't want you in their community.
Domestication, yeah.
Must what?
Like domestication kind of thing.
Yeah. Like domesticating animals. You breed the calm dogs, and you either destroy or ignore the angry ones.
Okay. All right. Does anyone, and this is a leading question, so feel free to say no, and don't try and answer it with yes if the answer is no. But I'm asking this because I have a suspicion, right? Has anyone ever questioned your atheism? Said basically you're not really an atheist, you really believe deep down inside?
I find a lot of religious people try to tell others what they believe, just off of a label. For instance, when they think I'm an atheist, they think I fornicate in the streets and eat dead babies. Because their preacher told them, or whoever told them. Some crazy guy on television says, oh, atheists don't have any rules, so they can do anything they damn well please. It's like, well, we could, but we would face the same consequences as everyone else. We would go to jail. Anybody can do anything. So whether they choose to or not is the question. Now, maybe why they choose is another layer deeper into that question. I don't know if I'm making sense now.
No, I can appreciate it. So, it sounds like you're saying, so I was asking, has anybody ever challenged you on, not being an atheist? And it sounds like you're kind of saying, it's more like religious people will have certain assumptions about what other people's beliefs already are. Maybe it is or maybe it isn't to the extent that you're an atheist or not, but just in general. Is that right?
They would rather assume that what they've been told is true than find out for themselves. I've never been asked if I eat babies, but someone did ask me if I believed in the apes once. I said, well, based off of your question, I'm not sure if you're asking me if there are apes or if you believe in the theory that apes and humans have the same ancestors, or that we are apes. I don't know what your question is. So rather than wait for her to formulate which direction she went, I just took it in all three. I said, well, if it's this, then that. If it's this, then that. And I don't think she took that well. She wanted me to say yes and then argue with me, is what my assumption is.
Possible. That was an interesting response. I haven't heard that one. All right, let's see. Okay. So you talked to me a little bit about this before we started recording, but like, what background did you come from? Were you raised religious or non-religious, and how did you come to be part of the secular community? Afterward, I guess, or how did you part from that?
Let me grab this last bite here.
All right, cool.
Her balance is already affected.
I always knew that it wasn't really my thing. When I was in junior high, and this is part of my answer of my own question on my video.
Right.
I was in seventh grade, because the 8th grader was next to me. I was trying to pronounce the word agnosticism. I'd never seen it before. So some guy corrected me, and I go, well, what is it? And after he told me, he's like, wow, I didn't know there was a word to describe me. And he looked at me like I just shit in his face. And I'm like, okay, I guess the conversation's over. So at that point, I had a name for myself, because I wasn't Catholic or Christian or anything, or Muslim or Buddhist. I kind of like the agnostic thing. What he told me is that they don't believe and they don't care if other people believe. I'm like, yeah, that's right up my alley. But he didn't like the answer. So that was my turning point, as it were. I've been to churches or temples or synagogues or whatever they want to call them. You know, the people that knock on my door, I'll go with them sometimes, only with the understanding that I'm going to teach them calculus in less than 5 minutes. You know, now I'm forgetting where the question was. So did that answer your question?
I'm forgetting what the question was too. Actually, that was an interesting story though, right?
I also noticed that when I ask people in my interviews, that people got these whirlwinding thoughts that I have, is that I'll start on one topic, you know, kind of spin off into another topic, and then I'll spin off to another.
It's fine though. I mean, that's like what I want, right? Like the goal of the interview is to just like be talking about the topic in general for as long as possible, because you're going to end up, the tangents end up being more useful at the end of the day, because that's where you're going to actually express what's really happening. If you're like searching for an answer to a question, probably it's not as relevant to your life, right? It might be, but probably the stuff that's most relevant to your life that's going to actually answer questions I have when I do my research, that's what I should be paying attention to, not the stuff that like you had to search for. Who knows if that's telling, right? So yeah, I think that's good.
Okay.
Let's see. What else do I have? I think I might have covered just about everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's one more. Have you ever been denied anything because you're non-belief? Either like a resource or community or just like general social interaction or something bigger?
I refused myself from a lot of things because of it. I don't know if I've been asked to leave or anything. No, the only time I feel any kind of prejudice, I guess, is when I bring it up. And sometimes I'll bring it up just out of the blue, but I try to be aware of it, you know, who around me do I know or do I not know or do I care? I notice a gentleman over here laughing at our jokes every now and then, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. and that's okay. I prefer to be inclusive, and that was one of the things at Sunday Assembly. They said that they are radically inclusive. And that was part of my questions to some of the board members there. How do they define radically inclusive? And apparently it's a nationwide thing for Sunday Assembly. It's just something everybody likes, and I like it too. I don't want to exclude religion. There's one guy that goes to the blasphemy breakfast that I go to. He's all about disproving religion and showing that God is evil. And again, it doesn't really matter to me, but it sounds more confrontational than I would prefer. He had a really good story. You should probably look him up. Underlings on YouTube.
Okay.
Some religious nut was giving him a hard time, saying that because Obama is the devil, he will have a third term in office.
Huh.
And so the guy said, well, put your money where your mouth is, and they bet $1,000. And the religious guy didn't want $1,000. He wanted him to take down all his videos and never produce another video again if he won the bet.
Okay.
So the other guy's like, yeah, sure. So eventually the guy sent him $1,000 in cash over 3 different envelopes over 3 different periods of time. But he was good for his word, and I guess they still chat.
Wow, that is quite a story. Huh. Yeah, that's peculiar. I wonder what happened with that. So you said that this fellow is more sort of anti-theistic then, right?
Yeah.
I'll have to find out what's going on with that. I saw the blasphemy breakfast advertised online, but I never checked that out. Do they welcome anybody to show up, or is it just like a...
It's all radically inclusive.
Okay,
Just
cool.
because Sunday Assembly is the only one that says it, that none of them really care.
All right, fair.
There might be some that are anti-religious, but they're not out to like kill people or anything. They're just like, no, keep that out of my face. You know, and I can respect that too.
Alright, fair. Well, maybe I'll check it out and see what's up with that. That is really interesting. Alright, I think that's it for my questions, unless you have stuff that you want to talk about that you thought of.
Well, only if you want to play my question game.
Play your question game? Okay, I'll play your question.
All right, I'm going to stop the camera so that I can keep it separate from this.
Okay.